My own son tricked me into signing away the house I built with my bare hands. That's how it started. He said it was, just for tax benefits, like I was too old to understand money. Smiled right in my face. Even brought me a coffee from the gas station like he was doing me a favor. Next thing I know, he's the legal owner of the family mansion, and he's got movers lined up, talking about turning my bedroom into a gym. Don't worry, Dad. You'll always have a place here, he said, like I was some stray dog. But I smiled. Nodded. Played the part of the clueless old man. He had no idea what I was planning. 2 weeks later, he pulled up with a moving truck, grinning like a kid on Christmas. Security wouldn't even let him through the gate. There were floodlights on the lawn. Champagne inside. A string quartet on the patio. And me? I was shaking hands with the new owners. The look on his face when he realized. I built that house in '89. Me, a rented bulldozer, and a busted back for 6 months. We didn't have money for contractors back then. Just me, a few buddies from the mill, and a whole lot of prayers. My wife, Linda, picked the tile. She always said she wanted a kitchen with warm toes, so I put in heated floors myself. The fireplace stones. Hauled those in the back of my pickup. Every inch of that house meant something. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. Big wraparound porch, red swing, a backyard that backed into trees. The kind of place folks drive past and say, now that's a home. We raised our boy there. Ethan. He used to help me stain the deck. He was only 10, but he took pride in it. Wore his little work gloves and everything. Said one day he'd live there with his own family. I believed him. Maybe that's why I didn't see it coming. Linda passed in the fall of 21. She always loved that time of year. Football, apple pie, leaves crunching under your boots. She went quick. Brain aneurysm. 1 minute she was humming in the kitchen, the next I was calling 911 with shaking hands. The house got too quiet after that. I kept it clean. Fixed the squeaky steps. Did the little things. It was still home. But it felt like trying to hold smoke in your hands. Ethan came around more at first. Brought coffee. Checked in. Said he was worried about me. But then the questions started. Dad, what's your plan with the house? Plan? You gonna keep it? Live here alone forever? I built this place. I'm not going anywhere. He'd nod, but I could see it in his eyes. That look young folks get when they think you've had your turn. Like you're just furniture now. Couple weeks later, he brought up taxes. Dad, you know you could save a ton if the house wasn't in your name. Just a formality. It's still your place. Just on paper, it makes more sense this way. I looked at him. You're talking about signing over the deed? Temporarily. Just until the end of the fiscal year. That's how he said it. Fiscal year. Like I didn't spend 40 years working double shifts to put food in his mouth. Like I was some dusty relic he had to move around his Monopoly board. Let me think on it, I said. He smiled. Of course. No pressure. But the pressure came anyway. He started dropping it into every visit. It's just smart, Dad. Lot of guys your age do it. Just think how much we'll save. We. That word stuck. Then he brought over the paperwork. Neatly printed. Tabs marked with sticky notes. Like it was a done deal. I took the folder and made him coffee. While the pot brewed, I stared out the window at the backyard. The maple tree was turning red, just like it always did. Linda used to say it looked like fire from the upstairs window. I looked at that folder. And I signed. He hugged me. Smart move, Dad. You'll thank me. Sure, I said. But I didn't sleep that night. Or the next one. And then I noticed something. He stopped bringing coffee. He stopped asking how I was. Just texted once. Hey, thinking about doing some upgrades soon. Might knock out that old pantry. That pantry held your mom's cookbooks. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just put down my phone. That Sunday, I saw a listing bookmarked on his laptop when he visited. Luxury home transformation ideas for 2024. A week later, I came home from Walmart with a rotisserie chicken and some cold medicine, and there was a landscaper out front. "Here to measure the yard," he said. "For what?" "Client wants a pool." My jaw clenched. I looked out at Linda's garden. The one she spent 15 years perfecting. Her rose trellis. The hummingbird feeder. "You can leave," I said. "Sorry." I stepped closer. "Get off my lawn." He backed off fast. Got in his truck and left. That night, I poured myself a glass of Jack and sat on the porch swing. My hand brushed against the chain. Cold. Still strong. Just like me. Next morning, Ethan called. "What was that? Why'd you send the guy away?" "I don't want a pool." "You don't own the house anymore." He said it like a fact. Like a math problem. "Come again." "You signed it over, Dad. You can't just scare people off." I didn't say a word. "Look, I'll give you a heads up before anything big. But this place is going to change. I've got plans." He hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. Then I opened the kitchen drawer. Same one where Linda kept coupons and stamps. Pulled out the manila folder he gave me. The deed was there. His name on it. But something else too. He'd added a clause. Buried in legalese. Grantor relinquishes right of residency upon transfer. No wonder he brought coffee that day. He wasn't helping. He was clearing me out. I sat at the table. Sunlight hit the empty chair across from me. The one where Linda used to sit. Still had her cushion on it. I could hear her voice in my head. "Don't let anyone take what you built." That's when I made a phone call of my own. A guy I used to work with now runs a security firm. Another call to a realtor. Discreet. Cash buyers only. Then one more call, to someone I hadn't spoken to in a long time. Ethan had taken his shot. Now it was my turn. Ethan started showing up less and less. No more checking in. No more coffee runs. Just texts. Usually short. "Painters coming by Thursday. We're tearing out the breakfast nook next month. Might rent the place out short term if we don't move in right away." I didn't respond to any of it. I had nothing left to say. It was like I'd vanished from the place I built. Like I was already gone. One morning I woke up and found a couple standing in the driveway. Young. Dressed like they were late to brunch. "Hi there," the woman chirped. "Is this the Higgins property?" I blinked. "That's my last name." "Oh, I thought the owner was someone named Ethan." I didn't answer. She glanced down at her phone. "Well, we're doing a walkthrough. Your son said we could come by early." They walked right past me, up the porch steps, like I was the gardener or the help. I followed them in. They were already pointing at things. "See, this wall could come out. Open it up. I love the fireplace but maybe paint it white." She turned to me and smiled. "You've really kept the place in good shape for your age." I stared at her. The man cleared his throat. "We'll just look around, if that's okay." "It's not." They paused. "I didn't invite you here," I said. "Oh," she said, blinking. "But," Ethan said. I opened the front door. "Out. Now." They shuffled out, annoyed. "You don't have to be rude," the man mumbled. "Tell Ethan he can show his house when I'm done with it," I snapped. Then I shut the door. Hard. That night, Ethan called. "Dad, what the hell? You sent strangers into my home. They were buyers. You embarrassed me." "I don't care." He was quiet a second. Then his voice got cold. "You don't live there anymore. You don't get to make the rules." "Funny," I said, "I didn't see you building this place in '89 with a busted back and a broken roof jack. That was 30 years ago." Still standing. He let out a sharp laugh. "You're being emotional. It's just property." I hung up. I sat there for a long time. Looking at the cushion on Linda's chair. Still smelled like her lavender spray. I realized something. He wasn't just taking the house. He was scrubbing us out of it. Me. Her. All of it. A few days later, I came home from running errands, and someone had taken down the wind chimes from the porch. Linda's wind chimes. Tin ones with little birds on them. She loved the sound. Instead, there was a big plastic sign zip-tied to the railing. Coming soon, modern luxury, stay tuned. I ripped it off with both hands. Ethan called 5 minutes later. Don't touch the signs. Don't touch my porch. It's my porch, he snapped. That was the first time he said it. Not ours. Not yours. Not the family home. Mine. Thanksgiving came. First one without Linda. I still cooked the turkey. Just the basics. No one came. Ethan texted that morning. Going to Haley's parents this year. They've got a hot tub lol. That's all he said. Not a word about mom. Not even, you okay? I sat at the head of the table. Tablecloth was crooked. One plate. One fork. Linda's chair across from me. Empty. I raised a glass of cider and stared at that stupid chair like it might talk back. But it didn't. 2 weeks later, he brought movers. Didn't even warn me. I was out in the backyard, pruning what was left of Linda's roses. Cold fingers, dirty gloves. Thought I heard a truck. By the time I got to the front, there were 2 guys on the porch with dollies, looking confused. Who are you? I asked. Movers. For what? Ethan Higgins. Says it's his place now. We're bringing in the first load today. I stared at them. Then the front door opened. There he was. New leather jacket. Hair slicked back. Grinning like the prince of the subdivision. Surprise, he said. You brought movers to my house without telling me. Your old house, he said. And yeah, I figured, why drag it out? Let's just get the transition started. He looked around. You still haven't boxed up your stuff? My stuff? Dad. I've been patient. But you've had months. It's time. He waved to the movers. Start in the upstairs office. They nodded and started climbing the stairs. I stepped in front of them. Not a single step. Ethan rolled his eyes. You can't stop them. You sure? Legally, yes. I turned to the movers. You go up there, I call the cops. Trespassing. They hesitated. Looked at Ethan. Wait in the truck, he barked. They left. Then it was just the 2 of us. In the entryway. Same spot where I used to help him tie his shoes for school. Look, he said, softer. You'll be happier somewhere simpler. Smaller. You're not young anymore. You're not wise either, I said. He clenched his jaw. You're being ridiculous. I leaned in close. You want the house. You think it's yours. He smirked. It is. Then I guess I'll have to leave, I said. He blinked. Wait, seriously? I nodded. No fight left in you, he asked. I shook my head. Nope. You win. He walked out grinning. Texting. Probably to Haley. Probably gloating. I watched him pull away in that stupid black Tesla. Then I shut the door. And locked it. Hard. Because it was almost time. Just 1 more week. Ethan didn't come back the next day. Or the day after. But his people did. First it was a contractor. Big guy, sunglasses on inside the house, clipboard in hand. Said he was there to map out the renovation footprint. What footprint? I asked. He chuckled. Whole thing's getting gutted. We're talking marble kitchen, indoor bar, double showers upstairs. Maybe a wine cellar if we don't run into plumbing issues. I blinked. This house doesn't have a basement. He tapped his pen against the wall. Then we dig one. I told him to leave. He smiled like I was a pet barking at a stranger. Suit yourself, old man. I'll be back tomorrow with permits. The day after that, an appraiser came. Then a stager. Then someone measuring for smart lighting. I stopped answering the door. They let themselves in once. Used Ethan's key. I was in the backyard and saw them through the kitchen window, just walking around, pointing, laughing like it was already theirs. When I came through the front, they jumped like I was a ghost. You don't live here, one said. I didn't answer. I just held the door open until they walked out. Slowly. Like I was ruining their day. That night I went into the master closet. Linda's sweaters were still there. Hung neatly. Soft, floral colors. Still smelled like her. I stood there a long time, running my fingers along the sleeves. The next morning, I started boxing them up. Folded each one carefully. Labeled every box. One by one, I packed up everything that mattered. I left the furniture. But I took the memories. Ethan texted the next week. Staging team will be there Friday. Try to be out before then. That's all he wrote. No, please. No, thanks. Just instructions. Like I was a tenant overstaying my welcome. Like I hadn't built the place with my bare hands. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then I turned off my phone. That Friday, I opened the front door early. There were 3 women with tote bags full of fake plants and silver throw pillows. Hi, we're here to stage. Change of plans, I said. House isn't being shown anymore. They looked confused. Oh, we have the key already. Ethan said. Ethan doesn't run this house anymore. One of them looked down at a tablet. He owns the deed. I smiled. Not for long. That afternoon, I called my realtor. She'd found a cash buyer. Quiet guy. Real estate investor. Didn't ask questions. Didn't care about backstory. He wanted a fast closing and didn't flinch at the asking price, $3. $5 million. I told her to accept. We signed papers the next day. The house was his. Legally. And I was free. Ethan still didn't know. He came by Sunday afternoon. Unannounced. Again. I was sitting in the living room with a sandwich and the game on. Felt good not to care anymore. He walked in like he still owned the place. Sunglasses, again. Jacket tossed over his shoulder. Talking loud like he was already giving a tour. All right, so I'm thinking we ditch this wall completely. Open concept. Put a breakfast bar here. Haley wants exposed brick. I didn't answer. He looked at me like I was a chair. You still here? Just for the afternoon, I said. He nodded. Good. I've got a guy coming to rip out the fireplace Monday. I took a bite of my sandwich. No, he's not. What? No one's ripping anything out. He frowned. You can't stop me, Dad. I don't need to. He looked at me. What's that mean? I shrugged. You'll see. He rolled his eyes. Walked upstairs. Started opening closets. Why is your stuff gone? I didn't answer. Where's Mom's stuff? What did you do with all her things? He was getting angry now. I turned the volume up on the TV. Just a little. He stormed back downstairs. What the hell is going on? You said you wanted the house, I said. So I gave it to someone else. He blinked. What? It's sold. He laughed. Funny. I'm not joking. He stared at me. No, seriously. What the hell are you talking about? I pulled the papers from a folder on the table. Set them down. Real slow. He picked them up. Scanned them. Eyes darting. Then freezing. This is a sale contract. Yep. With your name nowhere on it. Correct. Why? Because I don't own it anymore. He looked at me, pale. Who does? Guy named Wayne. Who the hell is Wayne? The new owner. He looked like someone had slapped him. You can't sell it, he snapped. It's mine. I leaned back on the couch. You said it was just a formality, remember? For tax benefits. He opened his mouth. Closed it again. You tricked me, he finally said. I stood up. Son, you had me packing up my wife's sweaters while you brought in strangers to tear down her kitchen. I had plans. I had memories. He took a step toward me. You're going to fix this. Nope. I'll sue. Feel free. But by the time your case hits a court, the wallpaper will be gone, the floors redone, and the kitchen turned into a wet bar. And not by you. He stared at the papers again. Hands shaking. You're bluffing. You'll find out. He stormed out. Tires squealed as he drove away. I waited a beat. Then called Wayne. Still good for Friday? I asked. Yep. My wife's got a thing for hosting. Wants to break in the place. I smiled. Perfect. Let me know if you need anything. That night, I sat on the porch swing. The chain creaked just like it used to. I looked out at the yard. Roses gone. Garden bare. Porch quiet. Still home. Just not his. And not for much longer. He came back 2 days later. Didn't knock. Didn't call. Just barged in like he still lived there. I was in the dining room, boxing up the last of Linda's china. He didn't even glance at me. I talked to a lawyer, he said. You broke the law. Nope. He slammed his hand on the counter. You didn't own it anymore. I didn't sell your house, Ethan. I sold my memories. He scoffed. You think that's clever? No, I said. I think it's done. He stood there, breathing hard. Then he pulled something out of his jacket. An envelope. Dropped it on the table. What's this? Eviction notice. I stared at it. From who? Me. Through my attorney. I didn't move. You have 48 hours to vacate. My hands curled into fists. He crossed his arms, smug. I told them you're a squatter now. You've got no rights here. If you're not out by Friday, I call the sheriff. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. My mouth was dry. My ears were hot. Don't make it ugly, he added. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was war. You want the house that bad? I asked. He shrugged. It's not just the house, Dad. It's the value. The land. The potential. You've been sitting on a goldmine doing nothing. I built that goldmine, I said. Then cash out gracefully. Retire. Play golf. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was disgusting. You think this is about golf? He stepped closer. No, I think it's about control. And I have it now. He smiled like he was proud. Like he'd finally beaten me. You're just too old to see the big picture, he said. I didn't sleep that night. I laid on the couch with my coat still on. Staring at the ceiling. Linda's wind chimes were gone. Her garden was gone. Her photo had been boxed up in silence. Now he wanted to take the last breath of air from this place. I looked around the dark room. Shadows everywhere. Boxes stacked like gravestones. No more pretending. No more playing dumb. He wanted a fight. Now he was gonna get one. The next morning, I packed everything else that mattered into the back of my pickup. The quilt from our first anniversary. Her cookbooks. One of the porch chairs. I left the rest. Then I went to see Wayne. He smiled when he saw me. You ready? More than ready, I said. We went over the final details. Security. Catering. Lights. Guest list. He handed me a key card. Welcome to the former Higgins residence, he said with a smirk. Thursday night, I stayed at an old friend's place. Didn't even drive past the house. Didn't check texts. Didn't call Ethan. Didn't need to. I already knew what was coming. Friday morning, I sat on the patio of a coffee shop, reading the paper, sipping from a chipped mug. At exactly 11:07 a.m., my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered. There was shouting on the other end. Dad? What the hell is going on? I said nothing. I just got here, there's people in tuxedos on the lawn, security won't let me through the damn gate. I took a slow sip. Sounds like a party, I said. You sold it? You really sold it? I warned you. You can't do this. I smiled into the phone. Too late. He screamed something, might have been a threat, might have been just noise. I hung up. Let the silence settle. Then I finished my coffee. That evening, I drove by the house. Just once. String lights were up. Laughter floated over the trees. Champagne flutes in every hand. The windows glowed like memories being reborn. Ethan was nowhere in sight. And me? I didn't feel homeless. I felt free. The day after the eviction notice, I sat on the back porch with a legal pad. Yellow paper. Black ink. Old habit from my days at the mill. It always helped me think. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was focused. He'd taken everything but the marrow from my bones. My wife's home. My pride. My name off the mailbox. But he made one mistake. He thought I was finished. I made a list. 1. Get out fast. 2. Call Wayne. 3. Move quiet. 4. Let Ethan think he won. 5. Burn the bridge behind me. I underlined number 5 twice. Then I made another list. Names. Contacts. People who owed me favors from back in the day. Guys I helped when their roofs caved in. When their kids needed work. When their trucks broke down on I-20 in the snow. It's funny. When you're a nobody, you think favors are small things. Until you need one. Then they're gold. I started making calls. One by one. Didn't tell them the full story. Just said, I need a man I can trust. You busy Friday night? Nobody said no. Old Marvin had 2 hip replacements and said, hell yes. Curtis said, long as there's a dress code, I'm in. By noon I had a full team. Grease-stained hands and retirement checks, sure, but loyal as blood. They didn't need to know what for. They knew me. Then came the lawyer. His name was Dan. Still had his paralegal license from 20 years ago. He wore Crocs with a suit. Smoked menthols out the side of his mouth like an old detective in a cartoon. I brought him coffee. He brought options. You got shafted, he said, flipping through Ethan's deed transfer. Can I sue him? Dan blew smoke out his nose. You could. But that takes time. And heartache. And frankly, you don't need court. You need a shovel. I raised an eyebrow. He smiled. Metaphorically. Unless you've got other plans. We drafted some paperwork. A little message for Ethan. A legally binding reminder that his tax stunt had triggered 3 years' worth of back audits. No deductions. No deferments. And certainly no forgiveness. We had it couriered. Just for the joy of imagining his face. Then I called the security company. Wayne's place needed coverage, he said. Full perimeter. Clean, discreet, effective. I asked if they had an ex-military guy who looked like he didn't smile. They sent 2. I liked them both. They stood at the gate like stone lions, arms folded, radios clipped to their shoulders. When I told them to block anyone without a tux, they didn't even blink. Next, I handled the guest list. We weren't throwing a party. We were throwing a message. Wayne wanted a housewarming gala. I gave him names of local investors. Contractors. Real estate developers. Bankers. People who knew my last name. And people who needed to know his, Ethan's, would soon mean nothing. Friday drew closer. And I made my last stop. The attic. Linda's things were mostly gone, but I'd left one box behind. Wrapped in an old quilt. Labeled, kitchen, fragile. Inside was the photo album. Our life. Black and white wedding pictures. A blurry photo of Ethan's first birthday cake. The old dog asleep on the porch steps. I flipped through every page. Then I tucked the album under my arm, walked it down the stairs, and laid it on Wayne's mantel. Let it sit there like a quiet ghost. Friday morning, the caterers arrived. Tablecloths. Canapes. Silver trays with shrimp spirals and wine glasses polished to a mirror. The house glowed. Clean. Sharp. Transformed. But not fake. Not whitewashed like Ethan wanted. Linda would have loved it. Soft lights on the porch. Music drifting from the piano in the entryway. I stood there in my best suit, watching it all come together. And then I heard tires on gravel. I turned to the gate. Black Tesla. Same one as before. Only this time, the gate didn't open. The security guy stepped up to the window. I saw Ethan lean out, talking fast, hands moving. The guard didn't budge. Ethan pointed toward the house, angry now. Still no movement. Then he hit the horn. Once. Twice. The guard leaned down. Said something through the window. Ethan froze. Then the gate shut in his face. He backed up hard. Tires spun. He slammed the steering wheel. Then peeled off like a kid denied recess. Inside, the party was just starting. Champagne poured. Laughter bubbled like water in a warm pot. I stood by the window, watching the sunset over the backyard. The same one I once cleared with a borrowed chainsaw and a busted knee. Now it was lit with soft garden lights. No wrecking balls. No smart bulbs. No Ethan. Just peace. But it wasn't over yet. Not quite. There was one more thing left to do. And he was about to walk right into it. The phone call started around noon. Not to me, to the caterers, the valet, the event staff. Blocked numbers. Demands for names. Last-minute threats. All from Ethan. He was spiraling. And I hadn't even touched him yet. I was calm. In the study, checking the timeline. Watching the preparations like a conductor before a symphony. The house gleamed. Every bulb lit, every glass chilled, every corner humming with quiet anticipation. Guests arrived one by one. Suits. Gowns. Jewelry you don't wear to dinner unless someone's watching. They smiled, nodded, asked polite questions. A few recognized me. You used to live here, didn't you? Yes. And now? I looked them in the eye. I don't live here anymore, I said. I run the guest list. At 6:47 p.m. Haley called. I saw her name on the screen. Debated answering. Did it anyway. Hello. What is going on, she said. We had movers scheduled today. Did you? Yes. Ethan's not answering. We were told this place was being staged for us. Was. What? It was being staged. Past tense. She paused. You can't do this. This is his house. It was, I said again. Another pause. What does that mean? Check the deed, I said, then hung up. At 7:13 p.m. The first close call. A woman in heels tried to slip in through the back. Said she was on the list. Security radioed me. Blonde hair. 30-ish. Says she's family. I walked out myself. Sure enough, it was Ethan's cousin Tara. She gave me a weak smile. Uncle Rob. Didn't expect to see you here. Didn't expect to be seen, I said. She shifted, trying charm. Ethan said it was an open house. Said I could get a tour. I pointed to the security guy. You're not on the list. She blinked. You're serious? Dead serious. She folded her arms. I came all the way from Franklin. Then turn around and go back. The pressure was building. That's the thing with revenge. It's not the moment you strike. It's the wait before the knife goes in. And mine was still above the skin. I checked my watch. Almost time. Inside, Wayne raised a glass. "Let's toast to fresh beginnings," he said. The room clapped. Laughed. Glasses chimed like wind chimes. Then came the music. Low, slow jazz. Something classy. Linda would have liked it. I stood near the mantel, looking out across the room. The same room where I once hung Christmas lights with Ethan on my shoulders. Now filled with strangers. Elegance. Renewal. And then I saw it. Headlights. At the gate. Tesla. Of course. He stepped out like a man storming a courtroom. Suit too tight. Tie loose like a frat boy after a breakup. He marched up to the gate. Security stepped in front. Again. He didn't yell this time. He begged. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the hands. Palms up. Desperate. The guard radioed me. "Same guy. Says he just wants to talk. Claims it's all a mistake." "Let him wait," I said. "For how long?" "Until I decide he's earned it." Inside, the music changed. Livelier now. People were dancing. Glasses clinking harder. The vibe lifted, energy rising like steam from a pot that's about to boil over. Ethan was still at the gate. Pacing. Calling someone. Trying to find a way in. There wasn't one. Then the real fun started. At 8:04 p.m. the projector flipped on. Wayne had mounted it over the piano. Classy little screen tucked against the far wall. Guests turned. A slideshow began. Old photos. Black and white. Construction work. Deck framing. Roof shingles. Baby pictures. Linda in the garden, waving from behind her roses. Me on a ladder with a hammer. The house being built, step, by hand. A timeline of blood and sweat. Some guests clapped. Some just watched, glassy-eyed. Then the last slide came up. Text only. This home was built with love. Then nearly stolen. Tonight, it's reclaimed. People looked around. At me. At Wayne. Then one man clapped. Then another. Then all of them. Outside, Ethan was shouting now. Security didn't move. I watched from the window. He looked up. Saw me. We locked eyes. His mouth moved. I couldn't hear him, but I could read it. Let me in. I turned away. Back at the piano, Wayne gave me a nod. It was time. I stepped up to the mic. "Folks," I said. "Thanks for being here tonight. I don't usually do speeches. But I wanted to say something real." The room fell quiet. I was told this place had no value anymore. That it was just an asset. That its past didn't matter. I looked down. Then back up. But some things do matter. Some things stay sacred. A pause. Then. Tonight isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming something that should never have been handed over in the first place. More applause. Louder this time. I raised my glass. To new owners, old ghosts, and finally, peace. The crowd toasted. The music swelled. The windows stayed shut. And outside? He was still standing there. Watching it all happen through the glass. Saturday morning. 9:12 a.m. The doorbell rang at Ethan's condo. Haley answered, still in her robe. Coffee in one hand. Cell phone in the other. Two men stood at the door. Suits. Tired faces. No smiles. Ethan Higgins. She blinked. He's in the shower. One man held up a clipboard. IRS audit notice. Immediate review. She laughed. Is this a joke? The second man held up a badge. It wasn't. Ethan called me an hour later. I didn't pick up. He called again. And again. Left voicemails. I finally listened to the fourth one. Dad. What the hell is happening? Did you report me? The IRS just showed up at my house. You need to call me. Now. Click. I made a sandwich. Took my time with the mustard. The audit wasn't fake. Dan filed it through 3 different agencies, each flagged with his temporary gift transfer of the mansion. And the secondary income from his short-term rental plans. And the landscaping deductions. And the home office he claimed before he technically owned it. A full-on financial colonoscopy. Ethan's CPA called him crying. Sunday, I mailed him the second blow. A fat manila envelope. Inside, notarized revocation of all access to the property. Including the smart home apps he never got around to installing. Including the spare keys. And, just for fun, a note on top. Since I don't live there anymore, I figured you shouldn't either. I didn't sign it. Didn't need to. Monday morning, I met with the county inspector. Nice guy. Vietnam vet. Wore his badge on a lanyard and his opinions on his sleeve. I handed him the blueprints Ethan filed last month for a modernization plan. He flipped through them and whistled. Who approved this crap? Guess. Your son. I nodded. He snorted. This violates code in 4 places. You don't say. He tore off a carbon copy. I'll have a stop work order on his permit before lunch. Haley showed up at Wayne's gate that afternoon. Big sunglasses. Bigger attitude. Demanded to speak to the man in charge. Security called me. She says she's pregnant. I sighed. She's not getting in. She also says she has nowhere else to go. I paused. Is she crying? A little. Tell her to try Airbnb. Click. Ethan finally showed up in person. Tuesday, 4:35 p.m. Different car. No Tesla. Rental sedan with a dent in the bumper. Gate didn't budge. Security called me. Wants to talk. To me? To anyone. I stepped outside. Didn't say a word. Just stood on the porch. Arms crossed. He saw me. His face twisted, anger, shame, desperation. Dad, he shouted. Come on. I didn't move. He walked up to the gate. You made your point, okay? You proved whatever it is you think you proved. Did I? You took it all. The house. The money. You ruined everything. No, I said, voice calm. I restored everything. He let out a bitter laugh. You think this is justice? No. I think it's mercy. Justice would have involved lawyers and handcuffs. He stepped closer. I needed that house, Dad. You needed a lesson. He looked at me. You're not even sorry, are you? I raised an eyebrow. You evicted me from the home I built. He blinked. His mouth opened. Then shut. He had nothing. I turned to walk away. Then stopped. Looked back. Oh, by the way. What now? Your mom's wind chimes. The ones you threw away. He looked confused. I found them in the trash behind your condo. He looked down. I cleaned them up. Hung them on the new porch. He looked up, slowly. They sound the same, I said. Thought you should know. I walked back inside. The chimes swayed in the breeze. Soft, light, steady. Like she was still there. That night, I sat with Wayne on the back deck. Whiskey between us. Laughter from the living room. Lights twinkling over the lawn. We listened to the chimes as the wind picked up. Wayne leaned back. Think he's done? I sipped my drink. No. He raised a brow. But I am. Next morning, I got a text. Blocked number. Just 2 words. You win. I deleted it. Didn't reply. Didn't smile. I just looked out at the trees. And for the first time in a year, I finally breathed. Wednesday morning, 6:42 a.m. I was already up. Toast. 2 eggs. 1 black coffee. Same way I'd done it for 40 years. At 7:03, I pressed send. Just one email. But it hit like dynamite. To HOA Board, Property Tax Office, County Clerk, and Local Business Bureau. Subject, urgent fraudulent transfer of property/owner misconduct. Attachments, Ethan's renovation applications. Appraisal inflation. Zoning violations. Side rental agreements he never disclosed. All of it. Tied up in a neat little bow. By 9:15, his email inbox was on fire. By noon, his phone had 47 missed calls. By 2 p.m., the bank called to freeze his accounts. I know because he called me first. Dad, what the hell did you do? Filed the truth. You're ruining my life. You started that part without me. You don't understand. I understand exactly. His voice cracked. I could go to jail. I paused. Then said, don't forget your toothbrush. Click. Haley called next. She wasn't crying anymore. Now she was mad. You had no right to interfere with our accounts. You had no right to dig up my rose garden. That was Ethan's decision. And this was mine. You're petty. No, I'm patient. You've humiliated us. I stayed quiet. Until she said one last thing. I hope you rot in that house alone. Then she hung up. I didn't. I just stared at the wind chimes through the window. They were dancing like they didn't hear a word. The next blow came from the bank. And I didn't even have to lift a finger. Ethan had put in a pre-approval for a $900,000 loan. Planned to flip the house. Fast. Dirty. Get rich, then disappear. But the minute the fraud report hit. Loan revoked. Red flagged. Permanent hold. He showed up at the bank in person. Caused a scene. Security had to walk him out. He was yelling something about retaliation and family betrayal and you don't understand who my father is. They really didn't. Thursday morning, his condo's landlord taped a notice to the door. Eviction warning. Late payments. Lease violation. He tried to argue. Didn't matter. The money was frozen. His accounts locked. Even his credit card declined at a gas station that night. He tried to pump gas with $6 in change. Didn't even get a full gallon. And then came the cherry on top. Friday at noon, my friend Curtis rolled up in his rusted Ford. Same Curtis who runs the local paper. He got a tip from me. About a certain real estate entrepreneur who forged signatures and misrepresented assets on his renovation permits. Curtis published it with a photo. Front page. Headline. Local man loses inheritance over greed, fraud allegations pending. There was no picture of me. But I was in every word. By Friday evening, Ethan showed up again. Not at the gate. At my friend Marvin's house, where I'd been staying for a few days. Banged on the door. I opened it. He looked like hell. Hoodie. Sweatpants. Hair wild. Eyes red. You done? He asked. No, I said. You are. He pushed past me into the living room. I lost everything, he said. Not everything, I said. You've still got your name. For now. He laughed bitterly. What do you want? A thank you? An apology? I don't want anything, I said. Then why? I looked at him. Dead in the eye. You tried to erase me. From the house. From the family. From my own life. He said nothing. You called it just paper. I leaned closer. And now you've learned what paper can really do. He sat down hard on the couch. Buried his face in his hands. I thought I was helping, he mumbled. No, you didn't. I didn't think you'd fight back. I nodded. That's the problem. You never thought I was anything but in the way. We sat in silence for a minute. The wind outside caught the edge of the roof. And then, softly, the sound of chimes again. Even from Marvin's porch, they echoed. Linda's wind chimes. I'd brought them with me. He heard it too. Looked up. You kept those? I didn't answer. He looked down. And finally, he broke. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything back. Not then. Because sometimes silence is louder than rage. He left that night without another word. Didn't take the car. Just walked. Into the dark. Into the truth. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. But the house? The one he tried to steal? It wasn't done yet. Because one more surprise was coming. And this one was for everyone. 3 weeks later, the house was listed online again. Wayne flipped it like he said he would. Nothing flashy. He didn't gut it. Didn't erase the bones. He kept the porch swing. Left the chimes up. Didn't even touch the pantry. He said it felt like it belonged to someone. It did. But not anymore. Ethan never came back. Not to see me. Not to see the house. Last I heard, he moved into a short-term rental near the highway. Haley left him. Filed for separation. No baby. No plans. Just debt. And silence. Linda's photo sits on a shelf in Marvin's guest room. I framed it. Took me a while. I kept moving it from one box to another, like I didn't know where it belonged. Now it watches over me again. Right where she should be. Every Sunday, I take my coffee out to Marvin's porch. Same time, same seat. Wind catches the chimes. They still sound the same. Same soft notes. Same memory in every ring. Ethan sent me a letter last week. Just 2 lines. I don't know who I am anymore. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I didn't write back. There's nothing left to write. This morning, a young couple pulled into the old driveway. They had a kid in the back seat. I watched from across the street. The little boy pointed at the porch swing. His dad lifted him up. Sat down. Let the swing move slow. Wind blew. Chimes sang. And I smiled. Just once. Behind me, Marvin stepped out. You okay? Yeah. He nodded. Feel like you won? I looked at the house. At the kid on the swing. At the chimes dancing in the breeze. No, I said. I feel like I remembered what losing felt like. Marvin didn't reply. Just sat down next to me. We watched the sun fade behind the trees. Quiet. Clean. Final. Then, after a long pause, I said. You know what the worst part was? Marvin turned. What? I sipped my coffee. He really thought I'd just sit there.